What up, everybody? Welcome into the College Chaos Podcast. I'm Garrett Ross, alongside my man Jack Mackenzie and you, and we appreciate you tuning in whenever you do, whether it is live or going back and checking us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast as well. Hope you enjoyed the weekend, man. We had if you're a Big 12 fan, I think outside of Oklahoma, you probably are questioning how the weekend went. If you're a Sooners fan, I think you are ecstatic, and rightfully so. Real impressive win by the Sooners over Texas in the Red River rivalry shootout, however you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. That was a phenomenal game. I think if you look across the other landscape of college athletics this week, or college football this weekend, we saw Miami make arguably one of the worst decisions in football history. I mean, we usually get one of these every few years where a team, a coach, somebody just makes a boneheaded decision when I guess it's kind of overthinking your situation a little bit. Mario Cristobal and Miami definitely did that. You had an opportunity to win the game over Georgia Tech. All you really needed to do was take one knee on third down to seal the deal. Unfortunately for them, they got a little cute with it, decided to run. Running back fumbles. Georgia Tech is able to get the ball, and Haynes King leads them in, and Georgia Tech upset Miami. And I know a lot of Hurricane fans are pretty pissed about that one, and rightfully so. Just a lot of chaos, as we like to say, this weekend in college football, Jack. And overall, how are you doing this wonderful morning? And you're coming off your birthday weekend.
I need to recover.
That's fair.
Need to get more sleep.
Get some sleep. Yeah, I mean, my man was going through it. He had a big weekend. Dude, yeah, so looking back, I was looking at the schedule for the Big 12 and kind of trying to think back on our picks and looking, and if I'm doing my math right, I went 0 for 5. Just absolutely god-awful.
Really?
Bro, yeah, so I took Kansas State. Obviously, that was an upset.
That one wrong.
I took Texas over Oklahoma. I think you took that because of your grandpa, right?
No, like my dad's uncle.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The family. You took that, so you got that one. UCF, I thought having John Rice Plumlee, unfortunately, he got injured like on the first possession or whatever, and he went out. Kansas just boat raced them. You got that one. Iowa State over TCU. We're gonna get into what the hell is going on in Fort Worth. That was one I don't know. That was a fun matchup. It was good for Iowa State to get that dub. And then obviously I took Baylor, which I will not pick them again this season probably.
I think that's safe.
Texas Tech Texas Tech is not good. Texas Tech is not a good football team, and they flat out embarrassed Baylor. So where do you want to start when you look at these Big 12 games?
Where do I want to start? I mean, like, let's start Friday night, because that's probably still the most shocking result to me.
Okay, so Oklahoma State welcomes in Kansas State. And this is a situation where the Pokes have been reeling all year. They spent most of the first portion of this year rotating 3 quarterbacks in and out. You finally decide for Bowman as the guy. And I went back and watched because I was doing high school football on Friday. So Saturday morning, I got up and watched this, like on YouTube. It was bad, man. Like Oklahoma State looked like a poor man's Kansas State. Like they were more functional. Everything they did, like the way they used Bowman in that game, like his arm strength is bad. Like he can't really throw. They were using him to run, and it reminded me of like a super slow motion Chris Kleiman. So that's what I was sitting there like, damn. Man, this is bad. And then if you look the game Will Howard had, man, he was terrible. He threw 3 interceptions,
absolutely
1
terrible.
pick 6. Like I don't know what to make of this team right now, and I know a lot of people are calling for the head coach's job and everything. So I don't think that's fair. That's pretty dumb in my opinion. But what was your biggest takeaway from that loss for Kansas State?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously Will Howard throwing 3 picks is something that is very concerning against a defense that I don't think really had showed out much at all to this point. And I would like to say that, like, you can look at either the run game or the pass game and be like, this was just flat out completely terrible. Mm-hmm. But it just seemed like Oklahoma State found ways to control the game, break up the rhythm of Kansas State. And what I was watching was football game between two decent teams. Neither team great, neither team terrible. The problem is we know Oklahoma State's not that good unless they're truly turning things around. And meanwhile, Kansas State is nowhere near as good as I thought they'd be.
No.
Like, they should not be having results like this. I don't know what's up with Will Howard. And I am curious as to why they didn't just say after maybe the second pick, screw it, we're not throwing anymore. They cannot stop our QB power run game.
Right.
Because that's how Kansas State was moving the ball at the end of the game.
That was one thing. I think the Oklahoma State's defense, you got to give them credit for being able to shut DJ Giddens down. Like, if you look at the way Kansas State's been able to win over the past couple of weeks, it's been heavy doses of DJ Giddens. Trayshawn Ward's still trying to work his way back. But no, Oklahoma State did a good job of taking him out of this game, making him a non-factor. I think it was good to see their offense finally get Ollie Gordon involved at the running back position. I thought he would be a crucial point of or vital point of their offense this season, and for whatever reason, they've neglected to use him properly until really on Friday night. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that going forward. I think the most concerning thing for me is right now when you look at the Big 12, like I thought going into this game, you would still have Texas and Kansas State as the top tier. I hadn't watched Oklahoma in all really until this game. Oklahoma is so impressive, but man, if you're K-State, like you have no shot really at this point. Do you have a shot of getting back into the Big 12 championship game? Like, I don't know that they can legitimately beat Oklahoma if they play Oklahoma. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, they have a shot. Like that's my thing is like
they still have a shot
caught up on the
technically.
words like
yeah.
Like no one's really still mathematically eliminated. So like I don't want to go that far. Looking at the standings though, Kansas State's sitting at 1-1, just the same as Oklahoma State, BYU. Like they're not where they'd want to be.
Right.
And knowing that Oklahoma is the undefeated team and Texas is probably still the most talented team, that's a very bad spot to be in. Now, Kansas State doesn't have to play Oklahoma, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
That's a plus. That is probably, if they can get there right, then they still have every chance of being there. But they do still have to play Texas, and that's the only game. Like they can only lose one more at most, and that's hoping Texas drops another. Like they would need Texas to lose. That Texas game is big for that. Like if specifically you're looking at Kansas State getting things right, I still have questions about them getting things right, and they have to take a trip to Lubbock next week. I still think I'll take Kansas State in that game, but Tech looked a hell of a lot better than expected but against Baylor.
Still, like I said, they're still not.
But maybe that's just because Baylor's absolute garbage. Awful. And we can get into that later. But yeah, as far as the championship picture, somehow it feels like it's become even more of just Texas and Oklahoma with an outside chance of Kansas. Yeah. Outside, though.
Yeah, so, all right, then let's go to that. Let's go to Kansas and UCF. So this game was one where we were doing our picks. We talked about with Jalen Daniels not going to be able to play. If John Rice Plumlee is able to play, that should give UCF somewhat of hope.
And then they went and got boat raced.
They got absolutely boat raced. And I don't know what to make of this team.
At one point, UCF's run was at having 60 straight points scored on them between Baylor's second half and Kansas's first half. 60-0.
Yeah, this is a nice reality check, I think, for them, that fan base in general. I didn't expect, like, I knew there would be a learning curve, or I guess a learning curve, you could say, coming into the Big 12. I thought they were more equipped than this. But I think it really shows that if you don't have the depth in the trenches especially, and I know there's still that jump to other conferences if you want to look at that, but still, you have got to bulk up, and UCF is finding that out the hard way. They cannot stop the run. They're getting gashed. They can't get any momentum going outside of really RJ Harvey this past weekend. But, like, dude, I think this is and it's so weird because you give up the comeback to Baylor, which made Baylor, like, give them a false sense of hope, and after that, then you announce Gus Malzahn's contract, and then this happens. It's just like a whole bad vibe going on down there in Orlando right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, they gave up damn near 300-yard rushers because
Yeah.
Dylan McDuffie had 91 yards.
And I hadn't even heard of Dylan McDuffie.
Yeah. I haven't heard of Daniel Highshaw.
I know.
Like, I know Devin Neal, and he went off 150 on 12 carries. Like, I mean, just it was amazing to see that. And it's also really funny. Not funny to me, but for UCF, it's concerning because the way they got beat by Baylor, which, yes, Baylor had their best running performance of the year, but it definitely felt like Baylor was gashing them through the air. Mm-hmm. And then Kansas comes back, and with their own style of the wide zone scheme,
throughout the season. I know they did a good job of navigating the transfer portal and bringing some talent in. They just haven't been able to get it to click on all cylinders like we've seen some other programs do. And I think the more concerning thing, if you're TCU, it's kind of looking at this offense where you just torched people last season. Garrett Riley heads over to Clemson. You bring in Kendall Briles. And if you're familiar with this offense at all, like they can't – it's hard to navigate the way that Kendall's wanting to do it. They find a way to where they don't benefit their defense. Their offense is just rushing off the field. They can't get anything really established. And outside of Amani Bailey, man, like TCU really couldn't get anything going. Chandler Morris just looks okay. Like I think that kind of the game he had against Baylor a couple of years ago – the really his only big game in college kind of skewed the expectations for him a little bit. I'm not sure if his status, he got injured, but he threw a couple of picks in this game. Rocco Brett, the quarterback for Iowa State, just absolutely obliterated the defense. But they really controlled the game on the ground. Iowa State took it to them. Defensively is where we talked about Iowa State's defense all year, and we're trying to make heads or tails of it as some of the games haven't been indicative to what we've seen. But I think if you look over the past couple of weeks, that's where it's at. You're predicating yourself on hardcore, really good defense and an efficient rushing attack, and it's starting to work for Matt Campbell.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still just catching up here.
No, you're good.
Thanks for throwing it at me right away. God.
I know. So, Iowa State, TCU.
Yeah.
What'd you make of that? Just what the hell's going on with TCU?
I mean, like their offense wasn't terrible last night outside of all the turnovers.
Yeah, but the clock management, like it was just they made some boneheaded decisions where you're just questioning. Like they just look.
They're starting to question who their quarterback is, and that's very concerning.
But it's not just that. I think they're trying to question their identity because, like, last year it was this whole tough mentality and we're just the grit. And there was at the end of that game, they cut to the sideline. And we've heard where Sonny Dykes this year has already called out Kaz Kazadi and the lack of, string or whatever it is. And they cut, and him and Sonny and Kaz were going at it. Like, I think I would not want to be a TCU player this week in practice. I just put it to you like that.
I don't know why you want to blame strength and conditioning.
Because that's where everybody goes.
Well, here's my thing. You can tell the guys how to work and what to work, but at the end of the day, they have to want to work, and then they have to want to be tough. And you know what Gary Patterson always had? Guys with the chip on their shoulder who are trying to be tough.
Yeah.
You know what I don't think Sonny Dykes goes for? Guys who want to be tough.
Well, no, I mean, I think
last year they had that perfect storm of Sonny Dykes coaching and scheme and Gary Patterson guys.
Right.
Dykes started bringing in his guys, and they lost all of the Patterson guys. Like, all of those guys aged out, played well enough to get drafted out, and you're left with this. This is Sonny Dykes TCU. And, like, it will get better than this, but it's not going to get back to last year's levels.
Well, also, I think last year was kind of an anomaly too, right? Like you got to
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got to be honestly. If you're a TCU fan in general, I think you got to look at how that season unfolded. You didn't play starting quarterbacks because you knocked them all out. You got all the lucky. I mean, you just had all the dominoes fell in your way last year, and that's just not going to happen for most teams. And I think it kind of shows the separation and the difference of programs like Georgia and Michigan who were there last year, Ohio State for that matter, who were there last year, and you look at what they're doing this year, they're riding that same momentum and building it, whereas TCU has taken a significant step backwards. I think that's one of the biggest differences in building a program and keeping it sustainable. But we'll get into that eventually. Baylor, Texas Tech.
I mean, I just don't know how many ways you can say Baylor is disappointed this year. Like, great on Texas Tech. They came in. They were ready to knock Baylor's teeth in. They went out there and did it. Like, they clearly are in a better place as a program right now. And that's a big issue.
Yes.
That's a big, big issue. Like, TCU's coming back down to earth. I'm looking at all three of those programs like, what the hell happened to schools in Texas? Like, this is disappointing on every level for each school.
Yeah.
And somehow Baylor found a way to be the worst of those three.
Yeah, I just...
Like, it's truly found a way. Like, this isn't, oh, well, you can kind of expect Baylor would be... No, like, how? How do you fall from 12-2 in the Sugar Bowl, and within 2 years, you're staring 2-12 in the face?
I really don't know, dude. I think there has been a...
Not 2-12, 2-10, because you're not going to get those extra 2 games.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a massive... And I know people have argued and said, I think there has been massive misevaluations on some talent. I think there have been some conversations that should have been had with upperclassmen that were looking at coming back, where they should have probably, in hindsight, instead of trying to be, I don't know if like overly nice or too kind or what, but you should have told those people, we appreciate what you've done for Baylor, go on. And you should have replaced some talent that you have that is not doing anything. You should have addressed that in the transfer portal. I feel like there's I have a lot of questions with that. I have a lot of questions with where the offensive line is going, the direction of the talent in that room, the specific hand-picked players that are supposed to be like up for the Remington Award that look like they would probably make a lot of practice squads at some, maybe be lucky to make practice squads at some Power 5 programs across the nation. I don't. It's really inexcusable. I don't know where the hell Richard Reese is. I don't understand how you have a player who was literally the only star, quote unquote star, getting any recognition in the preseason, and you've just completely neglected to use him, except for the fourth quarter when he actually won a damn game last week. The passing attack.
I don't blame Richard Reese.
I don't either. I don't. I want to know where he's at. I want to know why he is not being used in the damn offense. I want to know why Dawson Pendergrass is out there and Dom Richardson, and that's it. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Honestly, this is just pure conjecture. I have nothing to base this on. Richardson already used his free transfer. Pendergrass is a freshman. Why run a guy and make him frustrated? Basically show him why he should leave. Why? Why show a guy exactly why he should leave by giving him that many carries? They might be able to find the butter zone of he gets enough carries where he's not like, man, I'm not getting carries. How am I not getting carries? Mm-hmm. And he's not running the ball enough to be like, man, why should I stay here behind an offensive line that is getting me tackled in the backfield over half the time?
I'm glad you said that, because that immediately goes into what I was thinking watching the defense.
Like, my only reason why I feel like I shouldn't believe that is because that just is completely not what Baylor's staff would seem to be about.
Right.
But, like, I don't know another way to think about it right now.
Well, dude, like, I was thinking, I was watching their defense, right? And it's really god-awful. Like, it's really bad. But Caden Jenkins has been one of the bright spots and is a freshman. And while he came up with that big interception again this game, so that's 2 interceptions in a row and a fumble recovery taken to the house. Mm-hmm. That really, so he's shown that he's a dude, he can make plays. And instead of being excited for the future of Caden Jenkins, watching him come up with another big play,
you're just sitting here
my
crossing
thought
your fingers.
Was, when's he going to hit the portal?
Yeah.
When's he going to hit the portal?
As a Baylor guy, I'm sitting here like crossing my fingers, praying to God, like, dear Lord, please just have him stick it out. Please. But like that's how it is right now. Like, programs will fall apart faster with the transfer portal. And it doesn't. I just don't know. I don't know, man.
No, they're bad. It's bad. I don't understand the vibe. There's a lot of questions.
This whole segment
I don't.
Just talking about Baylor being bad, because Texas Tech went out there and earned that.
No, they did.
Like, Joey McGuire had the right game plan. Baron Morton did exactly what he needed to do, and not much more.
Yeah, exactly, not much more.
Taj Brooks, just dear Lord, he had a good game.
All right, so let's get into the final and the I think it's the best college football game I've seen all year. Texas and Oklahoma. I watched.
We made it to 10:20 without even talking about that one.
I know. I want to save the best for the last. So Texas and Oklahoma, Red River rivalry. This is a game where last year, and the more I thought about it, I'm glad. I probably should have went with you and Emory and picking Oklahoma because they got flat out embarrassed last year, 49-0. There was a lot of questions about where Brent Venables is with this program.
Don't sit here and say you should have picked Oklahoma.
No, I know.
Because let's be clear. Everything going into this game was telling you Texas should win this game.
Except when you look at given how it went last year and this rivalry, and you got to throw everything out the window. I think Oklahoma had a little juice to it.
That's the thing. You have to throw everything out the window, which includes last year's result. Honestly, it was shocking to me how well OU played, especially early on, forcing interceptions, forcing turnovers, which they then also didn't necessarily capitalize on as much as they should have.
No. But I think what really stood out to me was their defense and the trajectory of this defense. The playmakers they have I knew like Billy Bowman and Peyton Bowen and those guys were going to be really good, but I thought it was going to take a little longer for them to develop. But dude, that goal line stand when you check Texas, I think that was when Brent Venables earned his paycheck.
That's the thing is like I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's not scheme. That's not necessarily play calling. That's just who wants it.
That's will.
More.
That's will. Yeah.
And so great on Venables to have his guys there, ready to go, hyped up, but not too hyped where they're blowing assignments.
Yeah.
But I'm still not sitting here being like, man, OU's defense is great.
No, they're good. I'm not saying they're
good.
Great.
They're better than probably where I thought they'd be, but I still think Texas would actually win this game the majority of times if they play it a bunch. I think I would favor Texas in the rematch unless stuff starts falling apart. So it's a great win for OU, and it shows the potential, and they can definitely go and win a rematch if they rematch in the Big 12 title game. But I definitely think this was one of those emotional, good luck trying to predict it kind of things. Texas is still the slightly better team.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to be ranked higher because they didn't earn it. But when you're evaluating how teams play, Texas did not play a terrible game. They just made one too many key mistakes. And the defense on that last drive was abysmal.
So I'm looking at Oklahoma. The remainder schedule for Oklahoma is pretty damn cake. You got UCF this week.
I mean, we knew their schedule was kind of cake going into the year.
No, I know that, but I'm just looking at the back end. They can definitely.
They got West Virginia at home. At Kansas is probably their toughest road game. Bedlam is going to interest me now a lot more than it would have because it's Bedlam.
Yeah, and I think the way you saw Oklahoma State, they threw the whole damn kitchen sink. They were trick play after trick play. I think you're going to get a lot of that from them for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, plus it's the last Bedlam.
Yeah, it's the last Bedlam ever.
If there's one game on the schedule they want to win, it's that one.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, and we'll probably get to this later in the show when we talk about contenders. Also, we can run a little long today because there's no Aranda presser.
That's nice.
But where do you think OU is at nationally now? They jumped up big time in the rankings. They're up in the middle of the top 10, if I'm correct.
I think they're still pretty good. I would be very apprehensive to make big jumps with them. I know they jumped up pretty high in the AP poll this week.
They're number 5.
Okay, so I don't think they're number 5 in the nation. I would not have put Oklahoma at number 5. I still think that teams behind them looking at this,
Penn State,
I think
Washington,
Penn State,
Oregon.
I think all three of them could possibly beat Oklahoma or about the same.
I'll take OU over USC though.
Hell yeah, yeah. USC's defense is the problem.
So I'd probably have OU at 8.
Let's see, they beat Texas,
right ahead of Texas and USC.
That's fair. Yeah, I think if you flip them, put all of the teams ahead of them, Penn State, Washington, Oregon. Yeah, I think that's right. Yep. I would do that, and then this weekend we'll learn a lot because you got Washington and Oregon.
And that's
playing.
that's not to say that Washington and Oregon are absolutely hands down better. I just think that they have the edge right now. But yeah, Oklahoma is very much in this conversation.
They are, which is
They
weird.
earned it.
I was not expecting this from them. I thought they would be better than last year, but I didn't think that they would be in Big 12 championship contending, per se.
I didn't think so either, but I also thought many other programs in the Big 12 would be better. And frankly, it has been a disaster of the year.
Have you been, like, overall? Like, I know a lot of these conferences are down. The SEC is ass. Like, the Big 12 is bad.
The Pac-12's up. The ACC's up. The SEC and the Big 12 are down. The Big 10 is still the Big 10.
It's so weird.
Still the boring-ass Big 10 that has their, like, three good teams.
Yeah.
And then the one surprise good team, or the one like, this team's going to have a randomly solid year this year, which I see is Maryland.
Which got a reality check against Ohio State.
They were in it for a good bit. They showed some good fight.
Yeah.
But that's all you can ever really ask for. But yeah, so the Big 12 is just, it's a bad year for the Big 12. And as much as Texas and OU are still technically a part of it, I'm not looking at them when I'm saying it's a bad year for the Big 12.
No, they need to be.
In fact, I'm looking at them being like, the fact that they're leaving makes this even worse for the Big 12.
This is exactly what I thought was the worst case scenario for the Big 12. This is literally the worst case scenario. I could find ways
to make it worse, but we're damn close to it.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I guess, you're right. But I just thought if Oklahoma and Texas, but the way that they look significantly better than most of these teams, I think is bad. That is a bad look.
It's a bad look. But I don't want to say, like, there are two ways I feel like you can arrive at that statement, which is, oh, my God, Texas and OU are amazing, and then the Big 12 sucks. Or the Big 12 freaking sucks, and Texas and OU are just good. I
think that's probably a safer way of putting it.
It's not even about, like, trying to do spin or damage control. I truly think, like, yes, Texas and OU are better than they have been in a while. But the rest of the Big 12, like, altogether looks worse than they've been in a while.
But I also think it helps, though. Like
Kansas and West Virginia are your, third and fourth best teams?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
As far as what they've actually shown on the field?
Yeah, because I think K-State lost that privilege last week.
Yeah.
Absolutely did. So I think there's also another way you could look at it, because I think it's bad for this is the worst case. It's not the worst case scenario because, like you're saying, with Texas and Oklahoma being okay, the rest of the Big 12 being down, and then the four teams coming in, at least you have some hope. Like the way Colorado has been, I still think they're getting way overhyped, but they're good and they're going to be a factor. Utah is still, they're okay coming in, but I think that kind of helps knowing that you're going to replace with some pretty good teams. But the fact that your foundation, your hateful eight, is just,
I don't think you want to be having to bring in teams
and then rely on them
to, like, carry the conference's strength. And, like, Utah, which is apparently going to be possibly the most insufferable fan base to join.
Yeah, like, did that catch you off guard that they were the team?
That they're the fan
they're
base?
The ones that killed the pack, essentially. I guess quote unquote.
It didn't necessarily catch me off guard, but I hadn't given it a lot of thought of, like, okay, who really came up with this $50 million valuation? Like, I probably figured it was like Stanford or Cal.
I think that's what I thought. Yeah,
just because it's like, who would be dumb enough? One of them Bay Area schools, right?
I just thought that
they're the smartest.
The fact that you let one of the newer teams in that conference kill the 180 because of their negligence.
I mean, let's be real. I don't think that they were the only ones.
No, they weren't.
Like,
but
the other schools had to agree in some form.
Yes.
Clearly, the four that were leaving, or maybe at that point it was just Washington and Oregon. Maybe they were like, yeah, cool, ask for whatever. Like,
exactly.
we're gonna get 50 mil anyway.
Exactly.
But still, other schools had to be convinced to go along with it.
Yeah.
So I don't pin it all on Utah, and maybe it was their long game. Maybe
because they don't want to be in the Big 12. I think it is.
Oh no, I think I think they saw the pack dying and were let's just speed this along because we know we've got an invite waiting for us in a conference that, frankly, they probably were looking at like, we can go run this.
Exactly. That's exactly what they were looking at.
So. Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch going forward. Anyway, we should probably
get
a break.
Yeah, so up next, we are going to get in. There's an interesting article I found on The Athletic this morning by Ari Wasserman and David Ubben, where they take a look at some of the most disappointing college football fan bases this season. And we're going to dive into that next here on the College Chaos Podcast. Welcome back into the College Chaos Podcast. I'm Garrett Ross alongside my man Jack Mackenzie and you. And we appreciate you watching. And interesting article, like I touched on as we were going into break. Ari Wasserman and David Ubben crushed this on The Athletic. As they're taking a look, Jack, at some of the most disappointed fan bases in college football this season. The headliner is...
So it was based around fan bases.
Fan bases, given the expectations coming into the season, looking at the overall program, who should be the most disappointed? You have 10 of them on here. Headlined by my LSU Tigers, who are absolutely god-awful. And I know, look, okay, the standards for programs, giving the standard for LSU, they are awful.
I mean, going into this year, I feel like I remember us having a discussion about how you're like, we are not going to be as good as a lot of people expect us to be. We are not going to be in the college football playoff conversation.
Exactly.
And then I think you seemed a little more hopeful as we got close to that Florida State game.
Then reality set in.
And then reality set in. You're like, no, I was right.
I was right.
And you've progressively gotten more negative, which I don't fully understand.
It's frustrating. Because you have all the talent in the world. You are literally in a hotbed for recruiting talent. Brian Kelly, and I have said this, I will continue to say this man can win a natty. I will still not like him as a coach. I don't, he's like a used car salesman. There's a vibe I get from the guy I do not like. Their defense is freaking atrocious. Like, there's no damn way that defense should ever be that bad. As much talent as you have, like, it's stupid that you should have to go get a guy out of retirement to try to shore up your freaking defensive line. Your offense, like, that's the thing. Like, LSU went from used to having these badass defenses and miserable offenses to Joe Burrow, and you put it all together to now it's like you want to have these high-flying offenses and your defense isn't catching up. I don't understand it. I think if you look at their running back room, traditionally they always have a guy. They don't have that this year. I think Logan Diggs was pretty damn good on Saturday, but he has no breakaway speed. Like, there's no back that you see on this team that can break away. The receivers outside of Malik Neighbors, who is finally just starting to show up, are okay. Mason Taylor is just not even lived up to the hype. I think Jaden Daniels is going to get murdered on the field if they keep letting him run the way he is and just getting destroyed. They've got to find a way to do that. It's frustrating. I think giving all of the expectations for that, there was all the talk on the offseason. I knew it was bullshit, but like, you had the baseball team win a natty in the second year under Coach Johnson. You had Mulkey win a natty in her second year, and then it was like, oh, well, Brian Kelly's supposed to. No, that's not how this works. Brian Kelly's flawed. It is frustrating as hell. And if you look at the way the SEC West is down, the SEC in general, for them not to be able to be they still are kind of in the mix, but it's frustrating as hell.
They have one divisional loss.
I don't care.
Loss.
It's bad.
They're absolutely in the mix. This is what I don't get about the LSU stuff before we move on to another team is if you're looking just at wins and losses,
yes.
You could have and did envision this exact scenario before the season.
And it's frustrating.
We dropped Florida State. We dropped Ole Miss. Everything's still in front of you.
And it's frustrating.
I don't like. I get it. I get it. But as a alum and fan and media member around the school that is absolutely the biggest disappointment in college football this year, like by the stats. I don't understand why LSU is number one on this list.
That's fair. That is, but I think the reason they put them there is given everything I said. The expectation
Baylor
was
doesn't get clicks.
Yeah, well, that is Baylor doesn't get the clicks, and also I really think that all the smoke and outside perception. I think people from the outside expected this to be a playoff team, and the fact that they aren't, the fact that you have the playmakers they have on there, and what was supposed to be a great coaching hire. I feel like that's the reason why.
I don't see how this was supposed to be a playoff team this year.
I don't either. I didn't see it.
I don't know who these people that expected them to be a playoff team are this year because, frankly, I didn't expect Bama to be as questionable as they are.
No.
But I also, like, Georgia's still Georgia, and there's again, looking like they're just going to run through everybody in the SEC. And then you're counting on that West Division champ or, frankly, West Division runner-up.
Right.
To be that second SEC team, while we knew that, hey, Texas should be better this year. The Big Ten has now 3 teams that we're looking at like true playoff contenders. The ACC has Florida State, and the Pac-12 has like all the best quarterbacks.
All the damn teams.
So I do not understand where this idea of LSU expecting to be a playoff contender.
I think it was from all the offensive talent, the way they beat Bama last year, the way they played for the SEC. They won the SEC. Just hold on. I think that's where it comes from. That's exactly where it came from.
Okay.
And you were bringing back.
I'm not trying to think I'm smarter than other people, but like watching that LSU Bama game last year, I was like, LSU found a way to steal that one.
Hell yeah, they did.
Exactly. But it was a steal. It wasn't a.
Well, it was the quarterback. That's what it is. You know how it is.
No, but what I'm saying is that result was not something I wanted to build expectations on because I didn't think it was a true sense of which program is better right now.
Right.
Now, do I think LSU's in a better spot than Bama right now? I'm not sure. It's closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, they're about the same.
But like again, all of these different things, I'm like, why are you building expectations on this? Because it just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm sure someone could have definitely done this for other teams on the list to me that I was higher on. I had higher expectations for, but I don't know. Do you want to go to A&M or Notre Dame next?
A&M's A&M. Like I don't understand why A&M's on this list because
spend 30 seconds on this.
A&M's A&M, same old shit. Year in, year out. I'm surprised they looked a little better given this toxic ass coaching staff you have together. But it's A&M, and they're in the same place they are every year.
Frankly, I was worried they would be worse than they are right now. Like, I don't know why anyone outside of College Station would be disappointed with them because it honestly looks like the coaching staff moves have largely worked.
Somewhat. Yeah, they've somehow kept it.
They haven't brought the results desired for the money you're paying, but they don't look like they're, a flaming dumpster.
No, they're still.
I thought they had a good chance of being that. So, yeah.
Notre Dame.
This one, I think this one might be like, as far as expectations go, like my big disappointment of the year, as far like looking at playoff contending like expectations, because you brought in the quarterback that like, frankly, if Bama had them, you'd be scared of Bama right now.
Yes, you would.
I don't want to downplay Louisville. I don't want to.
Louisville's good.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay the two teams that beat Notre Dame. It's just watching the Louisville like condensed version. Mm-hmm. They got beat in the trenches.
They beat the shit out of Notre Dame,
which means they were never really a playoff contender. And I don't know how I convinced myself that they were, because you cannot be beat by a program like Louisville in the trenches like that. You can't get run over like that. You can't have trouble protecting Sam Hartman like that. You can't not have a running attack like that. Like it's holy hell.
I think what got me with Notre Dame was coming into the season. Like they're about where I thought they would be. Honestly, I mean because when all of your playmakers that Sam Hartman's having to rely on are freshmen, it's going to be hard to consistently win week in and week out. Now, if you had Sam Hartman there with, let's say, 2 years of eligibility left and you were able to build, like I think you would be perfectly confident if you're Notre Dame, like going into next year. But I think kind of the way they had Ohio State on the ropes, you had the infamous 10 people on the field. I feel like that just kind of deflated their entire season and they just kind of started reeling. I think they kind of, when you play big games and you play big teams like Ohio State, we saw Texas do it with Wyoming, right? Like the wind comes out of your sails a little bit, and Louisville was not the team they needed to face coming out of that. They exposed them. They forced Sam Hartman into multiple picks. And then now when you look at their schedule, you still got like a team like USC where that's going to be a shootout. And I don't think they can hang with USC in the shootout. It'll still be close. I think that completely erased all their outside shot of the college football playoff.
Oh, yeah. They're out of the playoff picture.
Done.
Like, they're out of the playoff picture. I think that's done and dusted. 2 losses for Notre Dame. You don't have a conference championship to make that stuff up. I definitely have more questions about Ohio State now.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure them out.
I don't know how good Maryland is. And frankly, the idea that Notre Dame didn't get completely run over defensively by Ohio State now makes me question some stuff.
Right.
And I know Louisville was ready to go. Jeff Brown is an offensive genius. I could see, back to your earlier point with the freshman playmakers around Sam Hartman, I could see Sam Hartman elevating the receivers. I can see freshman running backs go and do great things because it's running backs.
Right.
Hit the hole. Doesn't seem like there are holes to hit, though.
No.
Doesn't seem like there's an offensive line that can give Sam Hartman time to put the ball in the perfect place for his young receivers. The offensive line coming out of that Louisville game is what to me is holding the offense back. And defensively, I don't know what's up. I just don't think they've got playmakers or enough talent on that side of the ball yet.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that.
And Notre Dame just always, they live in this space where they play a few games every year where I'm like, these are the games that I can actually learn who Notre Dame is. And I think that's fewer games than other teams play of that nature. And they've come out, and in 2 of the 3 of them so far, they have more games like that this year than usual. Yeah. And in 2 of the 3 of them so far, they've lost.
Yeah, they're always. I like Marcus Freeman. I think he's the perfect fit for them. I think he's going to really turn things around. But it's frustrating if you're a Notre Dame fan, given everything that's been, especially with having Sam Hartman. Yeah. Damn, that's frustrating.
Can I do my piece on Baylor real quick?
Just rip them.
Because I did not do this research. This is from Travis Roeder's article on Signal365.com. But essentially, Baylor is 11.5 points worse than they were expected to be this year. Points per game. Ooh. Which is the single largest change in the nation. Not only that, it is 3 whole points more than the next closest, North Texas. 3 whole points. It jumps from 8.5-ish to 11.4.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
That's an entire possession.
They are, dude. They're so bad. I don't even know what to say about them, honestly. It's so hard to talk about that team.
I don't either, because this is truly one of those, you either stick it out with Aranda praying that he has learned the lessons he's had to learn, and you just have to write off these 2 years of these were his learning experience and he will get it right, and you are not going to go out and hire someone better that won't just leave you in 2 years if they get it right.
That's the thing.
That's the thing with Baylor. That is why they might hold on to Aranda, is because Aranda is the closest thing to a secure, good, you would hope, good coach.
Yes.
He's got to prove the good coach point at this point, but
what I know one thing,
he showed after success he wasn't going to leave right away, and that is something Baylor cannot count on from
anybody.
Almost anyone you'd look at to hire. Jeff Traylor, he'd be gone for a Texas or an A&M. G.J. Kinney would definitely move on when the timing's right. All
right, that's what's this whole time has bugged me with this Aranda stint, is because he is what I have assumed, hearing from Baylor fans for so damn long, that they were looking for in a coach. Somebody who is steady, calm, come in, be the next Grant Taft and stay here and build it up. And you have that, and it's just not working. And I don't know.
People don't want the next Grant Taft. They want Grant Taft's personability, the outward image. They want Art Briles' success.
Exactly. And they
want every year playoff contention. with the nice Christian good guy image. Grant Taft was not that successful.
No, he was not. And that's what always gets me. I'm like, what the hell?
People are remembering the peaks of a very good man and solid ball coach.
Yeah.
But they're expecting the success of a great ball coach, and the one that they had, that reset level, showed he wasn't that great of a man.
And they will never have that again here. And that's what they need to realize and understand. You are not going to have a football it's a whole bigger issue that these people are going to have to look in the mirror and address, honestly, at the end of the day. And the narrative I keep seeing on the internet and really during Twitter following that game was this whole crap about, well, RG3 needs to be the next. Look, stop with that crap. That was the whole
he's just getting into broadcasting.
He's broadcasting. He's not a coach. And there's plenty of other factors. If you really want to look in the mirror and dig deep, you find out why he's not going to be a coach here. It's not happening. Straight up.
Yeah.
So stop with all that.
I'm just sitting here, and you know what just popped into my head? Do you know who Bo Burnham is?
I do not.
He's a comedian, and he does these great musical bits. And the song is called "Lower Your Expectations," where just the refrain of the song is, "If you want love, lower your expectations."
I mean, yeah, exactly. At this
Baylor
point,
fans need to lower their damn expectations. Baylor fans need to be happy with consistent 7-win seasons.
Can I ask you something as a Baylor person?
Yeah.
Because I had this argument with Grayson. I feel like Baylor has become, I want your truth explanation. I feel like they have become a basketball school with a good football team every once in a while.
You cannot be a basketball school in Texas. That's the problem.
Just add all, it's impossible.
You live in the state of Texas. Your school resides in the state of Texas. You cannot be a basketball school. As much as Baylor could go win 3 straight national titles in basketball, and people would still be more pissed that football's not good.
I understand that. But reality, though, if you look at the programs, I feel like they are becoming that. You're Michigan State, Duke, North Carolina. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's just how I view it. That the transition's becoming where this is more of a basketball school with a good football team, or average to good football team year in and year out.
Basketball school versus football school has nothing to do with how good the teams are year in, year out. It has everything to do with what the people care about. And we live in Texas, and they care more about football.
That's fair. That's what I need to know.
I actually had this argument, I want to say a year ago with Grayson, where I'm like, we should be a basketball school. It's what we're best at. Football's too up and down. We've got a great coach, great team, good environment that's only going to get better with the new arena. And, I listed off the reasons. Mm-hmm. And Grayson, very rightly, was like, yeah, but we're in the state of Texas.
I get that.
This year is only more evidence to me on that, where if Baylor truly was a basketball school, people would have just dusted their hands of this terrible Baylor football season instead of constantly complaining even after all the writing on the wall. Unless we see a turn literally this week, over this bye week, where people just stop caring, mm-hmm. which I don't think we will see. I think people will be bitching and moaning until the day that Baylor's 2-10 record is cemented. and we'll all the noise will still surround the football program.
Right.
Basketball will be great, but that's not going to pick up steam till conference, because Baylor's not a basketball school, and it's only about what the people care about. And we are in Texas, and they will only care about football.
That's a fair point. It's just that's kind of where I've been skewed in trying to figure out what Baylor is and the expectations and everything. Because take the Texas factor out, to me, they damn sure look like a basketball school.
Okay, let's look at. We got plenty of time today. Honestly, I'm fine going
That's
over
fine.
if you are. Clemson, Tech, Arkansas, UTSA, Miami, and Pitt. Those are the other 6 schools on the list.
Clemson head and shoulders above everybody.
Really?
To me, because Clemson has become. Clemson was the team that kind of shook up the SEC's run a little bit. I feel like Clemson kind of said, okay, we're here, we're consistent, we're going to be a factor. And then for whatever reason, Dabo has just said, I am not going to participate in modern reality. I'm going to play like it's the 50s. And, yeah, dude, they have no playmakers. outside of Will Shipley. Like, they have nobody, no receivers for Cade Klubnik to throw the ball to. They look like they are regressing as a program in general. I think if you look at the ACC, Duke's better than expected. I think that loss caught a lot of people off guard. I wasn't surprised by it. Duke was really good, and it sucks to see where that program's going to head now with Riley Leonard not being 100%. But I think Florida State coming back on the rise, Miami trying to get there. They're still got a ways to go. Louisville, we've seen. I feel like Clemson's starting to lose their identity and lose the stranglehold they had on the ACC. And given where they were as a program to where they are now, yeah, they're definitely, to me, the one that stands out the most.
Yeah. See, I'm looking the way this list is ranked. Clemson's at 4, Tech's at 5. Again, Baylor should be number 1. LSU is maybe number 2.
I think Clemson could be like a number 2, honestly.
I don't see Clemson at that level, honestly. In fact, I see Tech as more disappointing than Clemson.
I think given the hype,
because I was sitting
argument
here saying I expect Florida State to win the ACC. I didn't expect Clemson to be playoff contending. They look worse than I expected them to.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I can't lie about that. They've played solidly in the big games. And I think if they can go out and beat Notre Dame, then I would look and start saying, hey, I don't even know if they're a top 10 disappointing team this year if they go and beat Notre Dame later in the year. So I probably should have, heading into the segment, written down the teams I truly think are the most disappointing, because I don't want to just sit here and be like, oh, no, they're not that disappointing. That's, who would you replace them with?
Right.
I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
But
that's how you view it, though.
Like, just pure vibes. We knew Clemson didn't embrace the transfer portal heading into the year. We knew that would be an issue for them. Yeah. We know that the AD really needs to tell Dabo, use it, or, like, you're going to be gone in 2 years because you're not going to be winning anymore. Right. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely see Notre Dame. Hell, I see LSU as more disappointing than Clemson. Like, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Tech and Baylor, definitely more disappointing.
What are your thoughts on Arkansas?
Did people have expectations for them
that's
this
what
year?
I'm wondering. Like, I didn't, when I see them on this list, I'm like, what were you expecting?
I had expectations for them last year. And because of last year, I didn't have expectations for them this year.
Well, you're going to have a whole new offense. You lost a lot of playmakers. Like, KJ Jefferson's good, but he's not elite. Like, that's what, when I saw him on here, I'm like, okay, I think this is Sam Pittman's last ride, honestly, but
I don't know why TCU's not on this list.
Switch TCU and Arkansas. I would definitely agree with that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that Pitt, I mean, I don't know what really is.
Pitt, I can understand that one, because you are literally moving your quarterback to tight end. That's pretty disappointing.
Question for you. The dishonorable mention in USC. This is what they are. Like, what did people expect?
I am surprised by just how bad the defense is.
I think maybe.
But I'm not disappointed in it, because I was like, all offseason, I was saying that's why they're not a true
Are you
contender.
surprised? Are you surprised because the talent they have there and it's still just abysmal?
I'm not surprised.
that's
this is
crazy.
Lincoln Riley football.
I know.
Like, I'm surprised Caleb Williams is out here defending the defense.
Caleb Williams, he's
he's a better teammate than I thought he was.
For real.
Like, honestly.
Yeah.
He's real for that one. But he's also not keeping it real, because, like,
no.
Like, he's real as a bro for that one. He's real as a teammate, but he's not keeping it real, like, being straight up. Because if he was being straight up, he'd be like, yeah, dude, we're not winning.
We're not winning a natty with y'all.
No, they're not winning the Pac-12 with that.
No, they're not. But I mean, like, I would just be so pissed off if I was Caleb, like, knowing that I had all this talent around me, and it's just the negligence.
He has no right to be pissed off. And you know why? Because he knew Lincoln's ass would drag Grinch with him to Southern California.
That's fair. He knew.
He knew. He saw it coming.
I guess that's just...
I'm willing... I don't remember the exact timeline, but I'm willing to bet the timeline was Lincoln, Grinch, Caleb, not Lincoln, Caleb, Grinch.
He knew what he was getting into.
I think he knew full well who the defensive coordinator was on the team, even though he didn't have to, like, play for him, because he's an offensive player. He's the best offensive player in the nation, probably. But, like, can't be you cannot be disappointed as much in them because the problem is what we all knew the problem would be.
Right. No, that's
Where's
fair.
the disappointment there?
That's fair.
I understand why they're dishonorable mention, though.
That's funny.
Because, like, the amount of talent they have. Yeah. The amount of I am disappointed in USC for showing that I was right.
Right.
Which means they're not blowing my expectations.
Yeah.
Like they're where I expected them to be at, and it's sad because of the talent they have.
Right. Okay, let's keep it here. Let's just give our. Do you want to just keep it here and then do the predictions, or do you want to break and then come back?
Prediction. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what we were going to do.
We're going to do the championship, playoff,
yes.
or do you just want to?
Well, let's keep it going.
All right. So right now, if you look at, you have what Georgia, I think, is clearly in the driver's seat. I think Auburn kind of gave them a reality check last week, and then they took it out on Kentucky. And I think it's pretty safe to say, unless I don't know what the hell happens, Georgia will be in the college football playoff. I think you can probably say the same for Michigan. Well, I wouldn't say that because I'd be a little apprehensive to say that. Michigan's still got to prove it.
The Big Ten will be something very interesting to see play
weird.
out. I still think Michigan wins the game because I have questions about Ohio State.
Yeah.
Penn State versus Ohio State. That one's going to tell me a lot.
So okay, that before we, because you're more of the Big Ten. What are they all on the same side, or is Penn State on the other side from them?
I can't honestly. I'm
because when I look at this, like you would think let's see. So all right, no, the East. Yeah, they're in the East. So they're in the East. They're with Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State
right now.
Yeah, it is right now. So
I think this is the last year because then they're bringing in.
So those three are together. So yeah, that's going to be. I think you'll learn a lot. I think you're honestly probably going to see Michigan beat Ohio State, and then what? That Penn State Michigan game's really probably going to be the determining factor to see who makes it out of there. And then what? You're looking at probably like Wisconsin.
Well, here's the thing. I've got to see Penn State beat Ohio State first.
Yeah.
I have to see that before I'm even going to start being like, no, Penn State Michigan's the deciding game. Because, like, I know I was not impressed by Ohio State against Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's only gotten less impressive since. There's just something there where I can't remember the last time Penn State beat Ohio State.
Well, I also think
like 5 years ago.
Yeah, but also I think in that situation it comes down to like quarterback, right? I think both teams are so evenly matched from a roster perspective. Obviously, Ohio State's got the advantage from the receivers.
I mean, look, we're gonna know in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we're gonna know in 2 weeks. That's when Penn State at Ohio State is. But it's at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Still like.
But James Franklin's got to win the big game, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. James Franklin hasn't won the big games yet. So I need to see him win this one before I'm willing to go say Penn State has surpassed. Like, I know it's cheap to say I need to see them beat the team before I'll say they've surpassed the team. But, like, be the best, you got to beat the best.
That's fair.
And what has Ohio State been up until, like, the last 2 years?
The best.
The best in the Big Ten. Now it's Michigan, but Penn State was below both of them before that. Like, so they've got to do that. I do expect, like, I want them to win that. I would put money on them winning that. I don't know if expect is the right word. But yeah, so out of the Big Ten, I'm looking at Penn State and Michigan. Frankly, I think the fact that they're in the same division bodes well for the Big Ten's chances to get two teams in. Yeah. Because I don't think the SEC is getting 2 in this year.
Hell no.
If Georgia runs the table, which they should, then they'll get in.
Unless they try to squeak Bama in somehow. But I still don't see that happening.
I don't like throwing around the they at the committee.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I hate that you're not off base saying it. But yeah, it really will come down to, like, let's say it's 1 loss Penn State, undefeated Michigan, undefeated Georgia.
And then you're looking at Washington and Oregon, right? Because they play this weekend. They're both undefeated.
Oklahoma, Florida State, maybe Texas. Like,
this needs to be the 12 playoff year, man.
Honestly, it does. But out of those teams I kind of just mentioned, who do you think are going to be the ones that actually come out of their conferences? Oklahoma or Texas, Oregon or Washington?
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Is Florida State gonna top Louisville?
That's the thing. Like Florida State, I would be nervous if I'm a Florida State fan because like watching that game, Jordan Travis is still banged up. Like he's not 100% healthy. Johnny Wilson got rocked last week, and I don't know. Like I just feel like Florida State's got everything going for them, but they're not as dominant as they looked in that opener against LSU, and more teams are starting to figure them out. And as injuries pile, I think they're going to be more vulnerable. Now, for the regular season, they don't play Louisville, so that's a pass for them. The North Carolina game is going to be intriguing. Like that, North Carolina can beat them. I don't necessarily know that they will, but that's the one
North
the
Carolina
hiccup.
Also doesn't play Louisville.
So
just as far as like what matchups might we see in the ACC championship game?
So by that, then does Louisville? If Louisville runs the table, they would be in, and it would be the winner of. I'm assuming it would be the winner of North Carolina, Florida State, if everything holds tack.
Except for the fact that those two don't play.
What the? All right, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how this schedule works for the ACC, but I don't know what the tiebreakers will be.
Yeah. Oh well, we will see. It'll be Florida State and somebody.
Also, lest we forget, Duke is 1-0 in the conference right now,
but they are hurt. Riley Leonard got hurt, and I don't.
I just want to make sure we're clear.
No,
the ACC has a battle on its hands this year, and frankly, if it wasn't for the Apple Cup, I'd be saying I feel very good about the Pac-12 champ being in over the ACC champ.
So you think Washington's gonna? You think Washington would be the champ if they didn't?
Washington's my favorite right now. Oregon, it's close, but it's knowing that they've got a rivalry game the last week of the regular season against like that has so many aspects to it, and Washington State is a solid team.
But does anything change with them getting beat by UCLA this weekend?
No, because I'm not saying Washington State's going to pop up and win the conference. It's just
everything.
that they could go give Washington a loss, and then Washington could go beat Oregon.
Right.
Like theoretically, you're looking at Oregon loses the Pac-12 championship game, but is the one-loss team. Washington State's 2-loss and wins the Pac-12 championship.
Okay.
That's the scenario I'm very scared of.
Right.
Where Oregon wins this matchup in the regular season.
Yeah.
Washington wins in the championship game, but they've lost the Apple Cup.
And then everybody's left out. Yeah. Okay.
You've got you've got undefeated Oregon and 2-loss Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. I don't know if 2-loss Washington makes the Pac-12 championship game, but we shall see. Like there are things that scare me about the Pac-12.
All right. So who wins the Big 12?
Big 12, Texas. I don't think
Texas comes back and beats OU.
And I think that's the title game matchup. No one seems like they're on either of those teams' level right now, and I hate every aspect of it.
All right.
Is there a group of 5 team that's standing out?
I like Wyoming. I'm glad they went out this week and ended the little fairy tale run for Fresno State. I think watching them this season, really the Tech game when they had their starting quarterback and just seeing the vibe that's going on in Laramie, I think that's really good. I think they can really upset a lot of people. They beat Tech. They pushed Texas with a backup quarterback to the brink. I think they are probably this year's Tulane. Now, will they get these?
Tulane's 4-1.
I know, and they're good, but I think the American's a little more difficult for Tulane to traverse than the Mountain West for Wyoming.
Fresno State's 5-1. Air Force is 5-0.
I think Wyoming can beat Air Force pretty solidly, though. I really think they're a really
find
good
out
team.
On Saturday.
We went. I think they're going to make a statement. Honestly, I don't know that they'll get the same bump that Tulane got last year when they had the opportunity to play USC and beat them in the was that the Cotton Bowl. I don't necessarily know that they'll get they might, dude. Like I think they're the best group of 5 team, hands down, though, in my opinion.
It's a solid choice. I am interested in Tulane and Tulane-Memphis.
I've never can get with Memphis, man.
I'm not like with them or about them. Just like, I'm looking at records. I'm trying to look at their schedules. They play this week, so winner of that game, that's inside track on the American title.
Yeah, but Tulane, no, I mean, I like how, like, I mean, you got Ole Miss to come into New Orleans and you push them to the brink. Like, they've been tested. And Willie Fritz is a damn good coach, and Pratt's a good quarterback.
No one's in the playoff conversation.
No. None of them are.
But yeah, if you had to say your playoff 4 right now, just to kind of put a bow on this show.
Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Texas.
I like it.
And I'm not saying necessarily that order, but those are my 4.
I like it. My big thing right now, because I'm leaning towards those 4, except possibly swapping Penn State for Texas.
That's fair.
I'm wondering if it's fair, because one would be a conference champ and the other one wouldn't. And I would feel like Texas got jobbed there if the committee chose Penn State.
And they don't want that.
I don't think Texas is really in danger there, honestly, because it's Texas.
A brand, yeah.
Say it was anyone else in the Big 12, any of the other teams that are actual shitty
outside of
year,
Oklahoma.
Outside, a non-brand school being a one-loss Big 12 champ versus a team that didn't even make their conference title game with one loss. Every time should be the conference title winner.
But
yeah,
reality.
So because it's Texas, I think honestly, I don't like to be in agreement with you on this. Like I wish it felt like we could see more.
We know how this works.
Easy swap Oregon for Washington.
Yeah,
well,
honestly, I think we'll learn this weekend, right? The winner of that game, you could either flip flop them. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, but we could just see a rematch in the Pac-12 title game.
We could,
which would be interesting. Be very interesting to see how a committee handles. Well, one is the conference championship, and the other beat them in the regular season, and literally nothing else is different. Like they're both one loss, and just when you lose, that changes things. So I don't know. Who's your favorite out of that group to win the championship?
Michigan.
Still Georgia.
I'm still Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. I think I picked Michigan before the year. I think they have the most well-rounded team. They just got a player back in the trenches. That's going to be really good. JJ McCarthy's just balling out right now. Yeah,
I need to watch more Michigan because
that's the thing. This weekend you're going to have an opportunity. Well, you're not because you're going to go to Baton Rouge and hold it down for me. But no, I think because Georgia plays this weekend. With Baylor not playing, I'm gonna be able to post up and watch a bunch. So
they're playing Indiana. I'm not gonna learn
but
from
you get
Michigan,
to watch
Indiana.
them. You get to at least watch them.
Nah, I'll be on the road to Baton Rouge.
You'll be calling Baton Rouge. That'll be fun. I hope you enjoy that.
I'm scared. You're holding back something on me.
No, I mean, you go. You're gonna have fun. I'm happy for you. Really, honestly, I am happy for you. You get to go to Death Valley, rock it out, get some cool pictures, and I'm definitely gonna buy some from you.
Awesome. Anyway, yeah, I think I gotta agree with you on Michigan, though. I'm very interested to see if a Pac-12 team can.
I hope they do. I think the Pac-12 definitely deserves it. Now, I feel a little
because if the defense of the Pac-12 team, and if they draw the Georgia matchup, which I don't know if they could, but if the defense of the Pac-12 team is good enough, I have questions about whether Georgia's offense can keep up.
Georgia's going to get beat this. Like I thought they would get beat before they got into the playoff, but like I said, I think Auburn kind of scared them the way Ohio State did last year, and now they are just ready and going to be on edge until they get like a Michigan and get a reality check.
Fair enough.
But we shall see.
Anyway,
but that's going to do it for today's episode. We went a little long. Thank y'all for staying with us. We appreciate you tuning in whenever you do. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go check out Josh Neighbors as he crushes it every day on this channel as well as what Grayson does. But we will be back next week. And you're listening to the College Chaos Podcast. We out.